Let's take a stroll down memory lane to the tumultuous year of 2019 and the subsequent chaos that engulfed the world in 2020 with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. The globe was thrust into a maelstrom of panic, sending shockwaves through the world economy. A staggering 3.1% contraction in the global gross domestic product marked the worst recession since the infamous Great Depression of the 1930s. Notably, the United States, in the grip of an unprecedented crisis, witnessed its economy shrink by a historic 5.9%, a downturn unparalleled since 1946. As nations grappled to revive their economies, the United States adopted what some term as cheating measures. To mitigate the pandemic's impact, they unleashed a monetary juggernaut, printing a jaw-dropping $3.3 trillion. The U.S. Congress passed the monumental $2.2 trillion for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, an unparalleled federal aid package in American history. The relief package encompassed direct payments to individuals, unemployment benefits, business loans, and support for essential services. Why the term cheating? Well, the United States led the pack in the money printing race. While various nations implemented quantitative easing, the US outpaced them all. Australia injected 200 billion Australian dollars. Canada released 250 billion Canadian dollars. Britain flooded the market with 645 billion pounds. And Europe went big with a whopping 1.85 trillion euros. The million-dollar question arises: why didn't other countries print as lavishly as the United States? Wouldn't it make life easier with more money in circulation? The answer lies in the specter of inflation. Picture this: the fundamental economic principle of supply and demand. When a country prints more money, an influx of cash permeates the market, bolstering people's purchasing power and skyrocketing the demand for goods and services. The result? Prices soar, creating a phenomenon we all dread: inflation. Inflation not only erodes the currency's value, but, at its extreme, can render a currency practically worthless. Countries worldwide strive to avert the nightmare of hyperinflation, drawing lessons from the unfortunate experiences of nations like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. The United States, however, seems to defy the conventional narrative. Throughout its history, it has engaged in multiple rounds of money printing, injecting $3.5 trillion from 2008 to 2014 during the Great Recession, and an eye-popping $4.8 trillion since the pandemic's onslaught in 2020. Now, the burning question: how does the United States seemingly print money without succumbing to the perils of inflation, or worse, hyperinflation? And why can't other nations match the US in the money printing game to rival its economic prowess? To unravel this enigma, let's rewind a bit and delve into how America pioneered the art of rigging the global financial system. Ever pondered why the United States flaunts its wealth? Regardless of the debates, let the facts speak. The US stands as an economic titan, towering over others in both size and might. Picture this: a whopping $25.5 trillion estimated in 2023, representing a staggering 25% of the global economy. That's right, a quarter of the world's wealth resides within the United States. Now, how did this economic powerhouse emerge and consistently lead the global stage? Let's unravel the narrative through three key chapters: massive territorial expansion, the Industrial Revolution, and the Second World War. First up, massive territorial expansion. Initially, the British colonies clung to a fraction of the American continent's western coast, with the majority still under Native American occupancy. But recognizing the vastness and resource richness, the US expanded eastward, acquiring land through battles and purchases. This strategic expansion bequeathed the US with abundant lands and resources, laying the foundation for economic prosperity. Enter the second act, the Industrial Revolution. With an expansive territory, efficient transportation became vital. Enterprising minds in the US pioneered transportation technology, triggering an industrial revolution. Locomotives, steam engines, and the game-changing railroads connected every corner of America, making goods distribution a whopping 95% more efficient. This shift catapulted the US from an agricultural to an industrial giant, surpassing even the mighty British Empire's GDP in the 19th century. And the plot thickens with the third chapter: the Second World War. How did a global conflict turn the tide for America? Positioned far from the war's epicenter, the US escaped its direct impact, maintaining economic stability and even flourishing. Profiting from the war, the US became a major supplier of military equipment, propelling industrial advancements and significant economic growth. A remarkable 1.2% unemployment rate in 1944, an all-time low, mirrored the nation's economic prowess. These three pivotal moments transformed the U.S. into an economic juggernaut, a status it maintained until the Vietnam War disrupted the script, forcing the U.S. to employ some strategic cheating to uphold its superpower status. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into this intriguing saga, the American cheating way. Enter the era of America's strategic financial maneuvers, a tale that unraveled in the wake of the Great Depression. Pre-Great Depression, the U.S. operated on a gold standard, tethering the dollar directly to gold. This clever move prompted other nations to stash dollars, seeking the golden exchange. World War I and ensuing European chaos led countries to entrust their gold to the U.S. for safety, swelling its reserves. With the U.S. being a gold production powerhouse, its reserves skyrocketed, making it the world's gold reserve behemoth. Post-World War II, the U.S. flexed its economic muscle by doling out substantial financial aid to rebuild war-torn Europe, primarily in dollars. This initiated a domino effect. European countries amassed significant dollar reserves, indirectly fortifying U.S. gold holdings. Enter the Bretton Woods system, a post-war monetary order that crowned the dollar as the global reserve currency. Tied to gold but with newfound flexibility, the U.S. emerged from the war as the economic giant, and its currency became the undisputed kingpin in international trade and investment. But every empire faces its challenges. The fall of the Bretton Woods system in the early 1970s.
I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
Born in 1944 to ensure global economic stability, marked a turning point. The Vietnam War, with its soaring costs, strained the U.S. financially. The war's toll on U.S. resources led to increased spending and trade deficits, exerting pressure on the gold-backed dollar system. Foreign nations hoarding dollars could cash them in for gold, a potential threat to U.S. reserves. To tackle trade deficits, the U.S. contemplated devaluing the dollar, sparking concerns among countries holding substantial dollar reserves. Meanwhile, the economic resurgence of European and Asian nations posed a challenge to U.S. economic dominance. Their strengthening currencies clashed with the fixed-rate Bretton Woods system. The Vietnam War, while not the sole culprit, acted as a catalyst in the Bretton Woods system's demise. A concoction of internal inconsistencies, external pressures, and evolving global dynamics ultimately led to its collapse. In August 1971, President Nixon declared a series of measures, dismantling the fixed exchange rate mechanism and temporarily suspending dollar-to-gold conversions. The US dollar, once bound to gold, morphed into a fiat currency, its value now only hinged on global confidence in the US economy. And you know what? The term fiat they used in fiat currency derived from Latin, meaning "it shall be," an implicit call to trust in the strength of the US dollar. Fiat currencies, in essence, derive value from government assurance, devoid of inherent utility. In simpler terms, it's a matter of placing faith in the might of the US and its economic prowess. Thus, fiat currencies only have value because the government maintains that value. There is no utility to fiat money in itself. In the intricate dance of global economics, the United States wields a unique power, navigating the seas of financial influence with a combination of historical decisions and strategic moves. The pivotal shift from the gold standard to fiat currency granted the Federal Reserve unprecedented control over money supply and interest rates. This maneuverability, honed over time, enables the U.S. to deftly manage economic cycles and confront challenges head-on. Amid crises like the recent pandemic, the U.S. government can inject massive funds into its economy, a financial prowess that seemingly defies the conventional principles of supply and demand. The perplexing question arises: how can the U.S. print vast amounts of money without succumbing to the peril of hyperinflation, a fate that has plagued nations like Zimbabwe and Venezuela? The answer lies in the intricate web of global trade and the ubiquity of the U.S. dollar. Unlike the currencies of Zimbabwe and Venezuela, confined within their borders, the almighty greenback circulates worldwide, serving as the international trade currency for every nation. This unique position creates an unending demand for U.S. dollars, surpassing that of any other currency. The diverse and colossal U.S. economy, boasting the world's largest nominal GDP, becomes a formidable shield against the specter of hyperinflation. So, can the US continue to print money at will? The answer rests in the delicate balance of global economic dynamics. The limit emerges when another currency dethrones the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, a scenario deemed highly improbable given the entrenched dominance of the greenback. Besides, come on, there's no way the US will let that happen, right? The prospect of the US relinquishing its status as a financial powerhouse seems implausible. To understand the perceived cheating in this financial saga, rewind to the creation of the Bretton Woods system, an epoch when the US held the world's gold reserves. Backing the dollar with gold elevated its credibility as the international currency and world reserve currency. However, as demand surged without a proportionate increase in gold supply, the system faltered. The US then astutely transitioned to a fiat currency system, severing ties with gold. Plus, the world was already dependent on the American dollar. Until now, almost all countries in the world use a fiat currency system, making them actually vulnerable to inflation when economic difficulties occur, and try to print money like the US does. That way, it is very unlikely for the US economy to collapse, even if it is hit by a severe economic crisis. So, has the US manipulated the world's financial system to preserve its superpower status? This provocative question hangs in the air, open for debate and discussion. Whether you agree or dissent, share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's unravel the intricacies of global finance together. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.